When it comes to compact luxury SUVs, Mercedes-Benz has always had the GLC class for buyers looking to get into an entry-level small luxury SUV. Now, back in 2016, when this vehicle replaced the GLK, it essentially took the C-Class sedan, which was Mercedes' best-selling model, and jacked it up and given us an SUV version, which is exactly what most buyers are looking for. Now, for 2023, the GLC class is getting a full redesign, and while it may not look all that new from its predecessor, this new SUV is borrowing some styling elements from the just redesigned C-Class, including the front and rear fascia, the chassis underneath, and the all-new interior with the S-Class inspired infotainment system. So as you can see, this week Mercedes has loaned me this entry-level GLC 300 4Matic painted in this beautiful shade of cardinal red metallic. And the big question I want answered, if you guys are looking for a compact luxury SUV, has Mercedes made enough changes to their bread and butter GLC to keep this model fresh? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the just barely changed exterior, let me go ahead and pop the hood and show you guys what's powering this model. Now, typical Mercedes, they offer a plethora of different engines. However, for now, for 2023, you can only get the GLC as this 300 model, courtesy of a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with a new mild hybrid tech. Now, if you guys have driven the new C-Class or saw my review of the new C-Class, this engine will feel familiar. This is the company's latest 2-liter turbocharged gasoline direct injection 4-cylinder, augmented by their EQ Boost 48-volt mild hybrid system. That's essentially the new element of this engine from the pre-refreshed GLC, and the horsepower figure remains the same at 255 ponies, but we now have 295 pound-feet of torque. That's an increase of about 22 pound-feet of torque compared to the non-EQ boosted engine in the pre-refresh model. And that's courtesy of an integrated starter generator that essentially replaces the starter and the alternator on this engine, which can deliver around 20-ish horsepower on its own, around 184 pound-feet on its own, but you cannot combine the output of the gas engine with that integrated starter generator. It all goes out through a 9-speed automatic transmission, and fuel economy is rated at 23 in the city, 31 on the highway. That's with this model, which has 4Matic all-wheel drive. Rear-wheel drive is going to be standard. So unlike the GLA and the GLB, which is a front-drive based SUV, this model here, as you can see from the longitudinally mounted engine, is rear drive because it's built on the C-Class architecture. Now, in terms of performance, Mercedes says 0 to 60 should be around 6.2 seconds. We'll test it out with our testing equipment. It has a top speed of around 130 miles an hour. And the beauty about these German SUVs is, for such a small vehicle, if you guys are looking to tow, this will tow a maximum of 3,500 pounds. So that's roughly double what you're going to find in most vehicles in this size category. You can thank that, of course, to the over-engineered Germans, which tend to just be, again, built like tanks. And in terms of the curb weight, this vehicle comes in and weighs just over 4,300 pounds. It's about 200 to 300 pounds heavier than the previous generation. If you guys want more power, there is an AMG version called the GLC 43 and 63, which will be coming out sometime next year. But let's go ahead and close up the hood and talk about the exterior styling, because again, when I first saw this vehicle, guys, I had to squint and look at pictures of the old model because it looks like the pre-redesigned version, which got the heavy refresh. However, if you start looking a little bit closely, you can see it's got essentially the same kind of headlights that we saw on the new C-Class. My tester, however, is missing the AMG body styling package for $3,500. It will give you a much more aggressive front end that looks a lot more sporty and mean. This looks a little bit soft without it. You can see the headlights. These are full LEDs, which are standard. They are a reflector style housing. I believe Mercedes will offer a projector style upgraded LED for an extra charge. You can see it has an LED daytime running light, LED turn signals, no fog lights here, no actual air intakes either. This is, again, would be changed out if you guys got the AMG body styling with larger intakes, a more aggressive front fascia. The chrome, you can also black this out with the package, and you can see the grille is a little bit smaller. The AMG body styling will add a much larger grille with kind of integrated stars, 3-pointed stars in the actual grille itself. The chrome here is a little bit much, although I guess it looks okay with the red paint. You can see big Mercedes logo here that houses the radar sensor for the adaptive cruise with another Mercedes star in the actual grille. But overall, let me know what you guys think of the styling. It's definitely a little bit soft. and just a little bit kind of nondescript, but it also looks classy and elegant. It, again, looks like the C-Class of small SUVs. Now, moving around the side profile, this is built on the same architecture as the previous generation. It's been tweaked, which means it has the same 113.7-inch wheelbase. Its overall length, however, has been lengthened by 2.4 inches at 185.7 inches long. It's about an inch lower, but it's the same width at around 74.4. So this has actually gotten pretty big in terms of the overall length. Again, Mercedes has the GLB if you guys want a boxier, smaller SUV, which is, I think, around 8 inches shorter than this vehicle. And you can see my tester for $600 has a multi-spoke 19-inch wheel. You can go all the way up to a 21-inch wheel, I believe, or a 20-inch wheel if you guys go for the AMG body styling package. These are more modest tires, a 235 by 55 R19. This is what's going to give you that nicer, softer ride quality. You have four-wheel independent suspension with adaptive dampers, no air suspension on this car. And I believe if you get the AMG body styling package, you'll kind of black out those wheel arch trim and whatnot. You can also black out the side trim over here. The mirrors electrically fold. They have integrated turn signals. You have this really nice aerodynamic roof rails along with a panoramic sunroof. That's a $1,500 extra charge. Some competitors in this segment give you a pano roof as standard. Now again, moving around to the rear profile of this vehicle, this is where you can really see the taillights borrowed from the new C-Class and the new S-Class. You can see the shape of it is pretty similar. It's got this new kind of black piece here that almost looks like it's part of the taillight, but it's just a trim piece. You can see it's got LED turn signals, LED brake lights. You have your GLC 300 4Matic badging back here, and then you also have a rear bumper that houses these these exhaust tips, which look real, but when you look closely, they're actually fake. They're a trim piece. The real muffler is underneath here. So again, that is kind of annoying, but at least that won't get covered in exhaust soot, which is typical of most German cars. I imagine the AMG body styling package may offer a different, more aggressive rear diffuser area. Now, opening up the trunk, this is where the longer length has improved the cargo capacity to just under 22 cubic feet. That's on the small end, but it's around 2-ish more cubic feet than the prior generation, which was really, really small. If you fold down the second row seats, it expands the cargo to just over 56 cubic feet of space, which is class competitive. I mean, that's what you're going to essentially find in most of these vehicles in the small SUV segment. You can also fold down the seats by pushing that little button over there, that or the toggle that'll electrically or kind of hydraulically push the seat forward, which is nice. You have some storage over there to the side. And then underneath here, Mercedes does offer a temporary spare tire with the necessary tools and a little bit more storage. So overall, in terms of cargo capacity, this is obviously, you know, average for the segment. Keep in mind there will likely be a coupe version which will have less cargo capacity, but we haven't seen the GLC coupe, the redesigned version, just yet. So while the exterior of the GLC, the new version, is very much an evolution from the previous generation, let's go ahead and hop inside and show you guys the all-new interior, which definitely has been changed. Before we get inside, however, let me show you guys the key fob. You can see this is the current Mercedes-Benz smart key access system. It has your usual buttons for lock, unlock, power liftgate, and then a panic function. I believe you also can have access to the vehicle through your smartphone if you have the Mercedes Me app, which if you're the owner of the vehicle, you'll have that. Now you can see the door handles. Considering the fact that Mercedes has a newer pop-out style door handle in the S-Class, it's interesting to see that they didn't include it on the GLC. This actually looks like it was taken off the previous generation, which is perfectly fine if you guys prefer that. If you touch that, you can see the doors lock. They also electrically fold the mirrors. That's where you touch that area there to lock the door. To unlock it, just touch the back of the door handle. That will unlock the door for you. This vehicle does not have a walk-away auto lock and unlock feature. That's something that you'll find on a BMW. Mercedes, for some reason, is not doing that option. Now you can see my tester with the Cardinal Red exterior, which is expensive at $1,800. This actually has the standard MB-Tex black interior, which is a free interior option. If you guys want full leather, Mercedes will sell that to you for an extra $1,700, but my tester doesn't have it. The MB-Tex actually is perfectly fine. These seats adjusted, I believe, either 14 or 16 different ways. You include 3-person memory on the driver's side and on the passenger side, and then heated seats are going to be standard, but if you want ventilated seats like my tester has, it's an additional $450. Kind of an insult considering it should be standard, especially for the money Mercedes charges for this vehicle. Now, you can see the door panel material. I love the fact that we have the MB-Tex stitching along the upper portion of the dash. You can see there's even ambient lighting on the door panel. It's also on the dashboard. You can see it's padded right here, aluminum trim with aluminum accented window controls, which feel high quality, aluminum accented door handles. The Burmester sound system is included with the exclusive trim for an extra $2,500 or $2,200. It's actually a good deal. Down here, it's hard touch plastic. You have some storage solutions, and then you also have a 4-way lumbar over here. No massaging seats. You can't get that on the GLC. You have to step it up, of course, to the GLE. But once you step inside, you can feel this has a nice, easy SUV step-in height. I believe it has a little over 7 inches of ground clearance, but again, no air suspension on the GLC. As I get in and shut the door has a really solid sounding thunk, which adds to that impression of quality. And then when you want to start the vehicle up, the start-stop button is right here. I like the placement of it. It doesn't get blocked by the steering wheel. And then the vehicle will start right up with, again, that kind of whirring to life portion. It doesn't have an actual starter or a traditional starter, so it starts up almost like a hybrid where it just kind of whirs to life. But you'll hear it come on because this is just a mild hybrid. It's not actually a full hybrid where it can drive on electric power alone. Now you can see the interior. If you guys have seen the new C-Class or the S-Class even, this is gonna look really familiar. I like the materials Mercedes is using for this model. You can see you've got that beautiful MB-Tex leather on the dash with the genuine stitching. I love the design of the air vents here where they're metal accented. If you twist that to the right, you can hear it has a satisfying click to open and close the vents, which I love. They also have so much adjustability. I love the satisfying clicking noises it makes. The steering wheel, you can see this is the non-AMG line wheel. The wheel itself is a 3-spoke design. It has a power tilt telescoping, which again, nice to be found in this segment of vehicle. The AMG body styling package will add a different steering wheel. You got paddles on the wheel, so you don't even have to have the AMG line to get the paddles. You have touch-sensitive controls to control the 12.3-inch display, and then you can also have controls here to control the 11.9-inch display. This has the latest MBUX infotainment software with your cruise control buttons. The horn sounds good. It doesn't sound puny. It sounds appropriate, but it's also very nondescript compared to some other larger vehicles. But you can see here, looking at the dash design, I like the way this is kind of laid out. I also love this matte finish walnut wood that you'll find on the dashboard here. It feels real. It also smells real. It has really high quality finishes. You have metal trim accenting the wood trim with the real leather stitching. This 11.9-inch display also includes wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You can see my phone is connected wirelessly. It has over-the-air updates. It's quick, it's snappy, it's responsive, and I love the fact that it's a portrait style. I think Mercedes did a really great job by implementing this kind of screen. Every other brand, including Hyundai and Kia, is kind of taking away their wall of screens that you'll find in like the GLE. So Mercedes again wanted to do something a little bit different for their latest models. Now you can see there's the embedded GPS, which is included with the Pinnacle or with the exclusive trim. It's really quick and snappy, and it looks just like Google Earth. So Mercedes has now caught up to Audi in terms of their map graphics. Although most of you are probably just going to use your phone anyways. You can see this has the 0-layer function where you can store your most used options down here. It'll actually remember what you use the most. You have CarPlay access via here. If you push the home button here, you can access all your different sources and whatnot. Comfort allows you to adjust the seat kinetics and the ambient lighting if you'd like. The ambient lighting in this vehicle, typical Mercedes, is beautiful at night. It really shows off the lighting in this car, and it's included when you guys go for the exclusive trim. My personal favorite is the ultramarine that I have it set to most of the times, but there's like, I think, 8 or 9, or actually it looks like 10 different color options, or you can also just set it for a monochromatic. So Mercedes really kills it with the ambient lighting. Finding the transmission selectors via this little stalk right here. So instead of wipers being over here, that's connected with the turn signals over here. Kick this all the way up to go into reverse. You can see the exclusive trim also includes a full 360 camera, which allows you to kind of do like a perimeter scan around the vehicle. Graphics and resolution is very good. It's one of the best in the segment. So again, you kind of expect that when you're buying a vehicle with the 3-pointed star. Really like that. You have a fingerprint scanner, I believe, here, and then you have your touch-sensitive controls where you can access your car information, where you can access, quick controls over here to turn off the stability control. Your volume control is this touch slider right there, which I don't love. And then your drive mode selector is right here. It has 4 different modes: Eco, Comfort, Sport, Individual, and then like an off-road setting, it looks like. So we'll try out the different drive modes later on during the driving scene. You can see, push that button, it'll start to look for a parking spot, which is part of the parking tech package, or the parking upgrade package that this exclusive trim gives you. And then down here you can see you've got 2 USB-C charging ports. You have a wireless phone charger, although I will say this is kind of hard to reach, especially if you have a drink in here. You can kind of adjust the cup holders somewhat if you guys want to make this again go away. You can have one cup holder here. You can have like a bigger storage area, which is nice. Close this up, you can see that is a little bit slow to close, but once it does close up, you can see it lines up perfectly, and this piano black is going to show scratches and smudges and dust, which I don't love. I think you can get an option to get rid of that if you prefer. Open this up, you can see the center console is a decent size. It's a little on the shallower end, but you have 2 more USBs, so you have 4 USB, a total of 6 USBs. That's optional, part of a $300 upgrade to get the advanced USB-C package. The Burmester sound system, I think, sounds really good. The seats, you can see there, the MB Techs, they have multiple adjustments. They're comfortable. They're supportive. The leather doesn't feel like real leather, but it feels durable, which is important. So I would say if you want to save money, just go with the standard MB Techs. Open up the glove box, you can see it's a bin style, it's stamped, it's lined with felt. You have an auto-dimming rearview mirror, but no digital camera rearview mirror. And then this model here does not have the heads-up display. That's included when you guys go for the Pinnacle trim. If you guys want that feature, you can see over here, you have LED map lighting in the cabin. You have this big panoramic glass roof, which does open up, and it has a power retractable shade, so that's gonna let in light. This is $1,500 extra. It's standard on some competing vehicles, so I wish Mercedes had made it standard. But overall, you can see interior is definitely, very much a copy of the C-Class, which is a copy of the S-Class, but it's got really high quality materials, great tech, a nice comfortable feel. It also has a nice commanding view of the road as well. But let's go ahead and hop into the back seat, because this car has a relatively good back seat as well, courtesy of that longer wheelbase. But you can see the door opens up pretty wide, although if you want to fit a child seat back here, some non-luxury brands do have a door that opens up a little bit wider, but you have around 37.5 inches of legroom back here. It's about the same, if maybe a half an inch bigger than the prior generation. You can see materials, same beautiful soft touch materials with the genuine MB Tech stitching, the ambient lighting, the metal trim that you'll find on the rear door panels, which is nice. You can see the seats, they fold down flat, which actually moves the front seat forward once you fold the seat down, probably only when it's stopped, which is definitely a nice touch. It actually pushes it back. This does not recline though, or slide forward and back. You'll find that in some competitors. But once I get back here, you can see there's a pretty good amount of space. Like I said, I'm 5'7", so I have good foot space. There's a good amount of leg room. I can kind of get back here and cross my legs. This is where I'd have the seat to drive, which is nice. In terms of the headroom space, you can see lots of headroom, even with the panoramic roof taking up the space. Although if you guys are over 6 feet, you might be a little bit closer, but I have at least a few inches, even when I'm sitting back here, which is nice. Not a flat floor, because remember, this is a rear drive based vehicle. You have rear seat air vents, no third separate climate control. I believe you may be able to find that in other options or other markets, but not here in the US. You have 2 more USB-C charging ports down there. You have 2 storage cubbies, which is nice. And then you have an armrest that folds down, and then you have cup holders built into the armrest. So again, if you need a back seat that can hold, adults and, child seats, the GLC has a pretty average to slightly above average size rear seat area. So it's been about 3 years since I had a chance to drive a more baser version of the GLC 300. And as you guys know, this vehicle has gotten a full redesign for this year, although the exterior may not, show that to you at first glance, but this is built on the new generation C-Class, which I had a chance to drive last year, and I was pretty impressed with it. Mercedes has essentially taken everything that we like from the flagship S-Class, and they're trickling it down to their smallest models. This, however, is very important because this is the best-selling vehicle in the Mercedes-Benz US lineup. Now, this model here got an upgrade for power, courtesy of a new EQ Boost 48-volt mild hybrid system. So now it makes the same 255 horsepower, but 295 pound-feet of torque. It's about 22 more pound-feet more than the previous generation. My tester here has the 4Matic all-wheel drive system for $2,000 extra, and it also has their 9-speed automatic transmission. It's a class competitive powertrain, and Mercedes says that they've improved the fuel efficiency thanks to that 48-volt mild hybrid system. They also claim 6.2 seconds is the 0 to 60. Let's go ahead and see what we can get here in our testing. We'll brake torque it. Feels good off the line, nice and strong. Typical 4-cylinder sounds, 0 to 60 in 6.1 seconds. That's respectable. I mean, I have tested a lot of vehicles in this segment. There are cars that are quicker than this. There are cars that are slower than this. This kind of falls right in the middle. I mean, if you compare it to like the Audi Q5, the Acura RDX, the Alfa Romeo Stelvio, the Lexus NX, the BMW X3, this is going to feel fast enough, but it's going to again be right in the middle. And that's kind of where the sweet spot is for this car. I mean, because Mercedes at one point sold over 70,000 of these vehicles every year back in 2019. Last year they sadly only did around 36,000, so about half that. So they have some catch up to do, of course, and this new generation is going to help get them there in terms of the sales figures. Let's try it again here on this little stretch of road and see what we can get. This time we're not going to brake torque it, we're just going to floor it. Definitely doesn't feel as fast if you don't brake torque it. because it builds the boost when you brake torque it. 6.95 there, and that's with it going slightly more uphill. So you're gonna shave about a half a second off the 0 to 60 time if you brake torque it. Now this car doesn't have launch control, but it really does a good job of just kind of, you know, putting or mitigating that turbo lag, and just makes this vehicle feel fast off the line. It's taking advantage of that EQ boost mild hybrid technology, which adds like another 20-ish horsepower on its own, but you can't really combine the horsepower figures together. But regardless, 0 to 60 times are not the point of a vehicle like this. I mean, it's obviously nice to see that this car is, you know, quick enough for most buyers, but this is supposed to be the C-class of luxury SUVs, and this is where the GLC, I think, does a pretty good job at doing that, because remember, this is built on their rear drive architecture that also underpins the new C-class. My tester is missing the AMG body styling package that also includes AMG wheels, AMG front bumpers, AMG side sills, AMG styling elements. Without it, this car is more of a comfort-oriented suspension. It does have, I believe, adaptive dampers, which are standard. The steering in this car is quick enough. It turns directions with authority, although the suspension is definitely on the softer end. In sport mode here, which I have it in, it's a little bit stiffer than, you know, than in comfort mode, but it's still a really nice riding car. This car has a 19-inch wheel, and it does a good job of just soaking up the bumps. This is what you want in your luxury SUV. You want it to be more comfort-oriented. It's also pretty quiet as well. When you're not pushing the engine, you don't really hear too much in terms of noise, but when you are pushing it, I will say the four-cylinder does not sound great. So if you guys are wanting better sound, you may want to check out the competition, because there was a time where Mercedes used to offer a V6 and a V8 engine under the hood of this. Sadly, however, they have all gone to a four-cylinder only lineup. Even the upcoming GLC 43 and 63 will make do with a four-cylinder engine only lineup. The 9-speed has really crisp, quick shifts though. It's smooth. It puts the engine right in the meat of its power band. So this is going to feel sufficiently fast for most people, and you're going to get that better fuel efficiency. And also you have that quietness, that comfortness, which I really like about Mercedes products in general. This vehicle feels like a well-rounded, well-sized, well-proportioned vehicle for the majority of buyers looking in this class of vehicle. Now I want to just try it here for our last time to see if I can consistently get 6.1. It's still in Sport Plus. Oof, definitely feels so much faster when you brake torque it. 5.88 there, so there we go. That's actually faster than my first run. I'll take that number. That's a really solid time, and that puts it on the lower end, or the quicker end, in this segment. So bravo, Mercedes. Even though this car is about 200 to 300 pounds heavier, you definitely appreciate that new mild hybrid system that just adds that delicious low-end torque. Now, I got the wheels to spin a little bit there. In this mode, you definitely can sense the transmission's trying to shift more aggressively. I'll switch it over into comfort mode now. This is going to make the transmission upshift a little bit earlier. The suspension gets a little softer. The steering got a little bit lighter. And this is where this car, again, reminds you that you're driving a three-pointed star Mercedes, because it's smooth, it's quiet, it's refined. It's really easy to drive. The seats also are comfortable. This is the MB Tech, so it's the faux leather material. I also have heated and ventilated seats. The ventilated seats are still optional, frustratingly, but my tester has it, and it works okay. I will say that other brands have better ventilated seats that just provide more cooling. This doesn't provide enough cooling, at least for me personally. Visibility in this car is also solid. You can see out of the front, the sides, the rear really well. Mercedes sadly does not offer the digital camera rearview mirror, but the driver assistance tech package that my tester has is still optional. It's around $1,800 extra. It includes things like adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, automatic emergency braking with traffic jam assist, although automatic emergency braking and lane departure alert, I believe, is standard. You just have to add in that package to get the adaptive cruise control with the traffic jam function, and it works well. Visibility in here is also good, like I said. This car is just really well-rounded. I find very little complaints and annoyances. Do I wish it was a little bit sportier to drive? Sure, but that's not the point of a vehicle like this. You can easily go buy like the Alfa Romeo Stelvio that's even sportier in the corners, but nobody really buys those because people buy these luxury SUVs for comfort, for ease of use, for just practicality, for daily usage. And this is where this car really excels because it offers plenty of space on the inside. It offers a quiet, refined interior and a great ride quality. And it also offers offers exceptional fuel economy, because when I last tested this GLC 300 in 2020, the refreshed model, I averaged around 24 miles to the gallon in my mixed driving. This time, however, in my full week of testing, I averaged 27 mpg. So that's a solid 3 mpg improvement. On the highway, it did around 29 mpg, so a little bit better. And then when you couple it with that, I think it's a 17-gallon gas tank, you're looking at around 440 to 450 miles of range between fill-ups. Again, this is not a full hybrid, it's a mild hybrid, but it's got that range, it's got that good efficiency. So again, you can credit Mercedes with their EQ Boost mild hybrid technology. It does a really fantastic job. So overall, I'm pretty impressed with this vehicle. I am very much looking forward to driving the AMG versions. I still haven't had a chance to drive a C43 AMG or the C63, which is going to be the same powertrain as this vehicle. So Mercedes, if you're watching this, please send me one of those models so I can test out the higher performance models. But if you guys are just looking for a base engine, I mean, for a base engine, this is gonna have plenty of power for most people. It has great efficiency, it's really comfortable, and this very well could be one of my new favorites in the compact luxury SUV class. So after spending a full week with the fully redesigned 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLC class, I mean, obviously if you guys like the C-Class sedan, you're gonna find plenty to like with the GLC class SUV, because essentially it's the C-Class sedan jacked up to give you more ground clearance and to give you the better practicality of an SUV. I mean, this vehicle is really competent at everything. As you guys saw, it drives really well, it rides really well, it's quiet on the inside, it has really good tech on the interior, it's also well made, and it's quick enough. 0 to 60 in around 5.9 seconds should be sufficient for most buyers, while achieving around 27 miles to the gallon and doing around 400 plus miles of range. I think that is a really great deal, especially for what you get in terms of power, in terms of efficiency, and in terms of luxury. Really, if you guys are going to criticize the GLC, it's probably for its ho-hum design. I mean, personally, I don't think this vehicle stands out in a great way. I actually prefer the look of something like the BMW X3, although that's probably due for a redesign soon. And even the older Audi Q5, I think, still looks really good, even though it's also due for a redesign. I'll be curious to see the AMG versions of this car in person whenever Mercedes decides to show the US spec version of the cars, which will probably be coming in early 2024. Sadly, of course, the V6 and the V8 engines are going to be gone, but everything is going electrified and downsizing, so that's kind of going with the trends. It has a lot more horsepower versus the previous generations. If you guys are looking to purchase this vehicle, these are already in dealership lots, and they start at around $47,000 for the base GLC without 4Matic. Most of you are gonna add that option for around $2,000, so just under 50 grand is actually not too bad considering what you get. Mercedes has seriously upped the standard equipment list on this car, so you don't necessarily need to go for the high-end Pinnacle trim with all the bells and whistles. Now, my tester here is actually not even a Pinnacle trim, it's the exclusive trim for an extra $2,200. It includes the surround view camera, the Burmester sound system, the navigation, and the enhanced ambient lighting. I think that's a worthy upgrade, but really, with all the options that my tester has, the panoramic roof, that's the other thing, is Mercedes tends to a la carte some options. I think the panoramic roof should have been included as standard. This color is also expensive at $1,800, plus the wheels, plus the ventilated seats, that's a la carte, which is kind of frustrating, and the enhanced USBs, that's another 300 bucks. All in, my tester comes in at just under $59,000. Now, 59 grand is certainly a lot of money. I wasn't expecting the base version to be around 60, but you can easily spec up the Audi, the BMW, the Volvo to be almost $60,000 as well. Keep in mind, if you guys drop this color, which is expensive, you can get this car for the mid $50,000 range, which I think is actually a good deal considering all the standard equipment. Keep in mind, of course, if you guys want to spend even more, the Pinnacle trim you can easily option up to be over $65,000, which I think is too much at that point. The sweet spot again is this car minus this expensive color in the mid $50,000 range, and I think what you're gonna get is a car that is a little bit more expensive than the Japanese offerings like the Lexus NX and the Acura RDX, but I do think you get a car that's a little bit nicer, more fuel efficient, and just again a Mercedes, which is going to mean a lot to a lot of people looking in a luxury car class. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the fully redesigned 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLC 300 4Matic. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.